Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Checkered with Charlie and Kathleen. I am Charlie Kimball. I have raced in the IndyCar series. I have over 150 IndyCar starts, IndyCar race win, IndyCar pole, best finish of third at the Indianapolis 500. Kathleen, for those who don't know, is my wife, and we've been married over 10 years now. Kathleen's great job at the racetrack was translator. She would translate a lot of the terminology, a lot of the strategy, a lot of the nuanced details that sometimes creates a barrier of entry to being a fan of the sport to friends, family, sponsors, partners, random people walking along. So that's what we're here to do, is break down IndyCar races. But before we get into the most recent race weekend, we want to talk about the Indy 500 Open Test.
Yeah. Well, first, let's say we lived in Indianapolis for 14 years and we loved it. We loved living in Indianapolis. We lived downtown. We really made the most of it, kind of had an amazing community there. We would walk, ride our bikes to dinners. We were very often known for going down to Lucas Oil for a Colts game and biking home and watching the game from home because we love the tailgate. And seeing May 1st turn on the calendar and all of our friends put their Indy 500 flags up is leaving. We're missing May big time. We're missing Indy big time. And I feel like a part of our heart is back there right now.
We do have our checkered flags and our wheel and wing flag up here at our house in California. I think our neighbors have no idea what's going on, but we are going to educate them year after year. And I think Indianapolis is the only place I've ever lived, and I've lived in a few different places around the world through my racing career, that has 5 seasons, and the month of May is the greatest season of all of them. So we're missing Indy. A big part of that.
I think part of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, IndyCar, and John Green put out this love letter video, and it just highlighted what we loved most, and it was the community and how everyone talks about where are you going to be qualifying weekend and are you going to the GP. And I remember when you were racing, our neighbors had young kids, and the young kids and all of their friends would come out and sit on one of the mounds and watch your race, and they were all wearing matching Charlie Kimball shirts. And every time you would go by, they would just scream, and we would get these videos of the kids rolling down the hills on the grounds, and it's just the whole city lights up. And now the Pacers are in the playoffs, so it's Pacers and racers, and I'm missing being there so much.
It's a big hole for sure for us, but at the very least, Kathleen and I will be there for race weekend, because how could we not?
How can you not? We cannot miss it. Even though we definitely don't have time to. I don't have time to go between work and kids, and I have to go.
Absolutely. So.
Open test.
The Indy 500 Open Test, which was in April. We weren't quite to May 1st yet, but it's also the first harbinger of spring in Indy, as hearing cars on track. And it's usually sometime in April, and the weather can be very dynamic. I remember testing there with 40-mile-an-hour winds, and we just didn't want to risk the car. We didn't do a whole lot. I remember testing there when it was 50 degrees.
I remember you guys waiting because the track temp and tire temp have to add up to 100 degrees, right?
Fahrenheit.
So track temp and ambient temp have to add up to 100 degrees. So if it's 45, the track temp needs to be 55. So you guys just waiting, watching for that the track and ambient temp to get up to 100 degrees.
To go run. Now, this year, a little later in April, the way the schedule worked out, the Barber Motorsports Park race, the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix that was yesterday, was the first weekend of May. And so the Open Test was April 30th or right towards the end.
The 28th or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Right towards the end of April, about a week and a half ago. And the weather was spectacular.
It looked
80, 85 degrees on day 2. Atypically, the cars got high boost. So typically, the only time you run that road course boost level at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is Fast Friday and qualifying weekend.
So high boost means that the engines are given more oomph, more horsepower to go faster, because you want to see these really high numbers on qualifying day. And I am just supposing here, but I would imagine with the hybrid and the extra weight of the hybrid, they really wanted to see how the high boost would affect it. So they had time to make changes, even though there's not really time to make changes.
Well, they could sneak a little bit of boost into it. It's just literally, it's just computer programming on the boost control and the overboost programming. It's all air pressure that then you match the fuel to make horsepower, more air, more fuel, more compression, more boom, more power. But it was a really unique opportunity to see one car running, because when you're running high boost, you're only going to do that competitively in qualifying. Yeah. So you only run by yourself, which means you're only running on fresh tires. You're doing 4-lap simulated qualifying runs all at one time, seeing what your car is. Over the course of the 2 days, they ran thousands of laps.
Yeah, I didn't see a report.
I think Kiffin Simpson ran the most laps at like 285, more than a 500-mile race distance. And drivers did refreshers. Mm-hmm. Helio Castroneves needed to do a refresher, got that knocked out of the way.
We had this conversation. Why does the series require refreshers for somebody like Helio that's literally been around there tens of thousands of laps?
So the rookie orientation program, which is different than the refreshers.
The rookie orientation program, totally get.
Yep. It's a staged progression, and it's not just hitting the number of lap speeds, but it's more about consistency, repeatability, lines, just making sure that as you're doing that speed and going a football field a second, you're able to sort of quicken your processing and not be surprised by anything. If it goes yellow, you don't jump out of the gas in the middle of the corner and rotate. All of these things that are less quantitative and more qualitative. They have guys like Ari Lyondike and Max Pappas watching from corners and helping mentor rookies. The refresher program is designed for drivers that haven't raced an IndyCar on an oval since the previous 500 or longer than that. So if I went back, despite being a 10-time Indy 500 starter, I would have to do a refresher program. Helio Castroneves, the last IndyCar race he did was last year's 500. Therefore, he has to do a refresher.
I get it. I mean, I get the idea behind it. But like Helio, Ed, Hunter Ray, can't they just like get a pass? I mean, I get the rules have to be the same.
You write the rule. I think it's.
But what are they getting out of that? I guess. What are those drivers getting out of that?
A free set of tires. They have to run certain stages of ROP. They run stage 3 and I think stage 4, which is sort of above 215 miles an hour. So it's a chance to build back into it without a lot of pressure, right? You don't have to go out. You're not working on your engineering. You're not in traffic. There's less cars on track. And I think it's less about, so the drivers get something out of it for sure. They get to build back into it, remind themselves what it's like going that fast. But also the series gets a chance to keep an eye on, make sure everyone's doing the right things, and also a chance to get some feedback on what the track's doing from veterans in a refresher session. So, but anyways, outcomes of the test, couple of big headlines. I think the people that you'd expect to look good, look good.
Yep.
Joseph Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Will Power. Penske cars, they target the Indy 500. Roger Penske has won 20 Indy 500s as a team owner. That is his number on his parking place at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is not his initials. It is not his name. It is just number 20. It's also his license plate on his company car. In fact, when he won with Joseph Newgarden the first time 2 years ago, would have been his 19th win. His tag all month of May in 23 was 18. Monday morning when they rolled in for the winner's photo shoot, facilities and operations had already switched it to 19.
Wow.
Because that's how much respect the boss gets.
Well, and someone who's won that race.
And when you win it that many times.
It's incredible.
So Penske's looked good. They focus on it.
Ganassi's looked good.
The Ganassi cars looked good for sure. Scott Dixon's always a under the radar kind of guy. Yeah. It's his personality. He's not flashy and big. He wants to win that race.
I don't think there's anything in the world he wants more than that.
No.
Like, he won in 2008, right? Yep. And has come close, has had probably the worst luck at that racetrack.
I remember a story. He led something like 130 or 150 laps of the 200. And in the last stint, of the second to last stint, hit an empty beer can in turn 2, cut his right rear tire.
Yeah.
And never had the chance to recover.
Yeah. And
should have won. Like, just had total domination.
Was it when Ericsson won? He'd been just dominating all day. And then he got a pit speed violation because something wasn't working on his car. Like, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just, like, I feel like the Indy 500 picks its winner and has not picked Scott Dixon, a 6-time champion of the series. I mean, the man is so good.
And he's been up front. One of the ways you win the Indy 500 is you've been up front. You run up front, so you learn how to finish up front.
Yeah.
And I know when Dario Franchitti and Scott finished 1-2, Dario won, Scott was second. It was 2012 after Dan had been killed at the end of 2011. And Scott really wanted to win.
Because he wanted to be next to Dan on the trophy.
Yeah. And he wanted his face next to Dan on the trophy. And I want to say there was a yellow right at the end.
Was that the Takuma Sato year? When Takuma spun?
I don't remember if that was the year when Takuma and Dario went into turn 1 and Dario hung on around the outside and Takuma lost it on the bottom and spun up. But either way, I think Scott looked good. I think Alex Palou looked really good. Alex Palou's looked really good all year. We'll talk about that here in a little bit because it's a masterclass. Alex hasn't won on an oval.
At all?
Correct.
But he finished second.
He has not won on an oval. So the fact that he is targeting the Indy 500 this year, he last year won at the Indy GP. He's won the Indianapolis road course 2 years on the trot. A lot of momentum for him, for the 10 car, for that crew and that team heading into the month of May. The cars look good. The McLaren cars looked pretty good. I think Pato coming second last year.
And the year
before really handled the disappointment and will target and channel that into motivation for the season. There were some incidents. We had a couple of crashes with high boost.
Yeah.
So the difference in lap speeds.
Yeah.
From regular boost to high boost, race boost, running around on your own, you're 219 to 222, depending on trim levels and grip and toes and things like that. The fastest no-toe car, and no-toe means that there's no one in front of you.
Yeah, for like 20 seconds or something like that. It's about half a lap, right?
You can adjust that no-toe filter. So you filter out laps where there's a car. You can set it at 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. For race running, I always set it 7 to 9 seconds.
Okay.
For a true qualifying, you are getting some sort of aerodynamic benefit if you can see a car in front of you.
Yeah.
So you come out of 2 and you see a car turning into 3. There's a little bit of an effect. It's minimal.
Yeah.
So you need to be at 10, 11, 12 seconds.
Okay. So the reason that we call it a no-toe is the car in front at the speeds they're going literally punches a hole through the air. So the car in front is always going to be slower than the car behind. And so if you want a real true indication of what your qualifying speed is going to be, there has to be no effect from a car in front.
Correct. Because when you're qualifying, you are the only car on track.
You're the only car on track.
So fastest no-toe speed was Takuma Sato at a 232. So you go from 220s to 230s, right? That is a big difference. Going from 210 to 220 feels like going from 190 to 210. Going from 220 to 225 feels like that step again. 225 to 230 feels like going from 200 to 225 all over again.
Just because it's moving so much faster.
You're moving so much faster, and you're that much closer to the edge, right? You're right on the limit. I remember
one too many inputs and you're done. You're toast.
Correct. And the strain of your, I want to say, nervous system when you're in that mode is heavy, right? You've got so much load because you're listening for anything wrong. Your eyes are on stalks. You're trying to absorb so much extra information.
And this is all subconsciously, right?
Or yes and no.
Okay.
Right? It's some muscle memory. It's some conscious. Hey, check the flags. What does that mean? What do I do? What happened last time? Hey, I'm running the fast jacker to kill drag. I've got to reset this. I'm adjusting my tools. What lap am I on? What am I doing with the engine settings? Right? It's a lot of rubbing your belly, patting your head, driving 2.5 miles in circles, rounded rectangle, oval, at 230 plus miles an hour. You turn into the corner on a 231, 232 lap. You turn into the corner full throttle at 237 miles an hour. That's fast.
Yeah.
And you come across that start finish line, you feel the yard of bricks every time you're across. There's that as you go past it. When you see that 230 mile an hour average pop up on your dash, you get out of the car standing just that little bit taller. There's something about 229.9 to a 230.1, not that much difference in time, but psychologically, a world apart.
Okay. So they had the hybrid, which added 100 pounds to the rear end.
Correct.
Which I would imagine really upsets the balance of the car, especially at the speedway.
Yes.
And we saw
two crashes.
Two
totally different reasons.
Okay. I didn't see Kyle.
So Kyle Larson hits the wall. Both of these happened in high boost sessions.
Yeah.
Graham Rahal tagged the wall in race trim, but
that's Graham's
he just got high at the exit of 3, rubbed the wall, got it woed down, circled back in pit lane. I don't think they even went yellow.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson.
I remember when he did that at Texas while he was leading, when he was your teammate.
Oh, he did repaint the wall a little bit.
I think Justin Wilson ended up winning that race.
Yeah, and there was questions about the aerodynamic configuration on that car, but that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
So Kyle Larson in the high boost, first to bring out a yellow for contact in that session. Went into turn 1. Both incidents happened in turn 1. Kyle ended up parked up against the wall in turn 2, but went in.
The inside wall or the outside?
Outside wall.
Okay.
Had a little too much understeer. Added wheel. Never really got to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't finish the corner. And because of experience, didn't crack the throttle. So when you're flat,
should he have cracked the throttle?
It would, to stay off the wall, yes.
Okay.
But especially in practice, right? Like qualifying run, you got to send it.
Yeah.
But in practice, he thought it was going to hook up at 230 miles an hour. When you've got that little bit of understeer, you get a little overheating on that outside front, the inside front's inside shoulder, all of that gets a little hot. That thermal degradation runs away. It just builds understeer, and you add wheel, and you almost want to get to a point where you don't add wheel anymore, because if you add wheel and it grabs and it'll hook, it's a way bigger accident.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where, okay, this is as much wheel, and then you do your turning with your right foot. You crack the throttle, gives a little weight transfer to the front, takes a little speed off, and just brings the nose down off the wall a little bit.
I'm so glad you did this and not me. That
sounds so much fun, right? Like
it doesn't.
It is so much fun.
It's fun to watch.
So Kyle's was understeer driven.
Yeah.
Tag the wall, locks down the brakes, slides through the short chute and up to the wall. Very minimal impact. They didn't endeavor to get the car fixed to go back out for race running that afternoon. Just focus on getting it right. It's a one-off program. He got a lot of experience. He learned a lot through that incident. He learned a lot probably watching, listening on the timing stand, probably just listening to Tony Kanaan talk about everything that was going on. There's so much experience. Tony for him to learn.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The other crash, and this one was huge.
It was big.
Takuma Sato.
Yeah.
You heard me mention he had the fastest no-toe lap. That car was a rocket ship. They absolutely had not turned everything up to 11 yet. They had not put their last little bits on, their last little kill switch 9 out of the engine, all of that. Went into turn 1, got a little loose. He caught it, got a little loose. You don't catch it the second time. Rotated up, slapped the wall, destroyed the tub. The team is already painted and rebuilt a new chassis for him.
Yeah. But the sad thing about that is they probably spent 6 months building that car, building that chassis, tuning on it, sanding on it, making sure it is as aerodynamic as physically possible.
As slippery. We talk about slippery, removing drag.
Yeah.
Any little imperfection in body fit is a parachute.
Yeah.
So at 200 plus miles an hour. Yeah. So when that thing is slippery and sealed, it is the best.
So
it'll be really interesting.
It's sad to see that much work go like unseen. I mean, it was seen, right? He put up a good time. Takuma is no joke good at that place. Two-time winner, right?
More Indy 500 wins than Scott Dixon. Those are the facts.
Those are the facts. Sorry.
Maybe not the reality, but the facts.
No. Takuma's good. Don't get me wrong.
And he is spectacular with his feel around that place.
Yeah.
He learned so much. Finishing second, trying to beat Dario for the win. Rahaal's got a great operation. They've got a really good car. It was good to see a Rahal car.
They've struggled fast. There.
Yeah.
Like Graham didn't make the race.
Yeah.
Last year, right?
A couple years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago.
2 years ago. But he ended up racing for somebody.
Yeah, he got in another car.
Because someone
Stefan broke his back.
Oh, yeah, he got in.
So, well, that brings us to the next point. The concerns for the first car out. At the moment, 34 cars entered, 33 spots.
Yep.
Barring any anomalies, right?
Yeah.
Somebody crashes on Thursday, someone crashes on Friday, someone crashes on Saturday, right? It's like we share a brain sometimes.
It's almost like we've done this for 11 years and talked about who might not make it, who could, and even more since you've been working with teams. So yeah, barring anything like that, I think you
can't look past new operations. So the Prema cars.
That's what I was just going to say. They don't know what they don't know.
And they have Ryan Briscoe
who's so good
as a sporting director. They have Romain Grosjean as a backup.
I saw him when we were walking down pit lane in Long Beach looking at the tire dag. I saw him out there looking at the tire dag too. So he definitely has his eye on the ball and knows what he's doing. Whether he's going to be able to translate that to Callum Ilott, who has had trouble qualifying there before.
Yep.
And Robert Schwartzman, who has never qualified there before, to be seen.
So I think you have to put them in the list.
You have to put the coin cars on the list.
Yeah. So Dale Coyne didn't make the race with Nolan Siegel last year, and I was on that timing stand, and it was a struggle.
Yep.
Nolan, we had a crash on Friday, and then he just didn't lift when he had to send it, and the kid absorbed pressure like the best sponge I've ever seen. I was so impressed. I will forever be impressed with that pressure. But as a team preparing, if you don't have the speed, if you got SCS, it is aggressive.
SCS is slow car syndrome.
And it can be infectious at Indianapolis, old slow car syndrome.
And, the year before that, Stingray Robb almost didn't make it.
Yep.
So Dale Coyne has been on that last row qualifying the last years.
Sometimes experience pays. But Rinus Veekay had a really great test for them in October at Indy. And that was a big part of why he got the ride for the year, was because they knew they needed to up their game.
Rinus Veekay has been in the top 9 multiple times. with Ed Carpenter.
In a Carpenter car, the Carpenter cars always bring a great operation to the Speedway. So I think you've got to talk about them. Jacob Abel's got a little bit of experience, but it'll depend on how the car and how the week of practice runs, whether all of that.
I think Graham has to be in the conversation because he didn't make it last year. He was on last chance qualifying the year before. I think even the year before that. I think
no, 2 years ago he didn't make it, and then I believe he was in last chance. Marcus Ericsson was in last chance qualifying last year, had a mental mistake. I think the rules should be you get one shot. You get one bullet. Last chance qualifying should be one bullet, not,
That's not the rules. You don't get to make them.
I know. But if I had a magic wand, that would be the rule.
Because he lifted at lap 3.
He didn't finish it. And 19-year-old Nolan Siegel kept his head together. And Marcus Ericsson, Indy 500 champion, made that mistake.
But that's what the Speedway does, right?
It's so great. It's such a test of man and machine. I don't know if you can tell, guys, but we love the month of May. We love the 500. Yeah. But we have talked for 26 minutes about May. It is time to move on.
But we really love May.
We do. It's time to move on to the Barber recap. And before we start talking about that, I do want to close the loop on May. I think it's a big miss on the IndyCar schedule. That the Barber Motorsports Park race was this weekend this year and not the weekend before like it has been historically. I know there were some moving parts with TV windows and golf tournaments that the promoter in Alabama runs and some things like that. But the first weekend of May is the Indy Mini, half marathon in Indianapolis.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, is the largest half marathon in the country.
I believe it is.
It's and I think it's like 35,000.
It's like entrance. The third or fifth largest half marathon in the world. Yep. I think the largest might be the Great North Run in England, which our friend Nicole Plowman ran this weekend. Oh. So well done to Mrs. Plowy.
And everyone who ran the Mini.
I have a buddy who ran an ultra marathon the weekend before, ran 50 miles in 24 hours, hiked an additional 5 because he was feeling good, and then PR'd at the Mini by 9 minutes on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's also the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
Watch the ponies run. And it is Rev, an incredible charitable event supporting the IU Health Foundation, that it is food. It's a culinary drink, dance party, celebration of the month of May. And I think it's unfortunate that none of the IndyCar drivers, none of the Indy Next drivers, none of the USF Juniors drivers got to go to that event because they were at Barber Racing. I think that's a miss. And I hope it's working to be fixed.
Yes. I would imagine that all the stakeholders involved in Rev and IndyCar knew that was a miss and would not have made that decision if they had another one, right? They're not going to say, "Oh, drivers aren't going to go to Rev," right? They're going to do what they can and call me optimistic, maybe, but I would imagine if they can make it work the other way, they will.
And I think that. We personally always saw it as a great weekend to rest, unwind, relax, charge up, and be ready for the sprint that is the month of May.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. The other sad thing is crew guys didn't get this weekend off. They didn't get the weekend off to be with their family. They're going to start on Wednesday or Thursday.
So they load in Wednesday and they start running Friday and Saturday. It's a 2-day road course event.
And they will not stop until...
After Detroit. First weekend in June.
Yeah.
So it's a sprint from here.
It's a marathon at a sprint pace.
Yeah, that's true. Barber Motorsports Park. Yep. They call it the Augusta Motorsports. It is a beautiful 800-acre facility. The Barber Vintage Museum should be, I think, on everyone's list. If you like motorcycles, you like cars, you like racing, you like museums. It's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. My understanding is it's the largest collection of vintage racing motorcycles anywhere in the world. They're all fluids away from the racetracks, gas, water, oil. The restoration shop in the basement has direct access to the racetrack. Barber was originally built and designed as a motorcycle track. It's turned out to be one heck of a car racing track as well.
And the broadcast said it multiple times about how beautiful it is. I cannot express how beautiful it is there. It is so picturesque, and there's these like looping, winding, rolling hills. It's just gorgeous. I love it.
And it's a bit of a museum as a racetrack as well. They're beautiful art installations and sculptures and like just incredible. It's a great spot. George Barber, all the credit to his vision and his team that have put it together. And one of the small things, I don't know if people noticed on the broadcast, but there are portable toilets in pit lane so that people can avail themselves of the facilities, right? That's pretty standard. George Barber and the Barber team wrap them like a British telephone booth, so they don't look like portable toilets.
I didn't notice that.
Because you never look in the background and think, oh, there's a portable toilet.
Well, I've been in those toilets and I don't remember them wrapped, so maybe it's a newer thing.
They have always been hidden. The TV, they wrap them like they do for a golf broadcast so that they disappear into the TV camera stands. It's that level of detail that I really appreciate.
Okay.
But practice was interesting. Friday was scorching hot, super humid. Saturday, mixture of weather conditions, wet, dry. Well, it was dry track to start, then rained. Everyone thought it was going to rain all day Saturday, but it was showing, especially Friday's session, that the red sidewalled alternate Firestone, what the broadcast calls the softer tire, were going to be preferred. They seemed to be holding up and had such a pace advantage that anytime you were running the primaries, the black sidewall was going to be a bit of a penalty phase during the course of the race.
Yeah. Which we had a friend come over and watch the race with us, and, you know, seeing so much deg on the green sidewall tires, the softer that were in Long Beach and St. Pete and Thermal, it was nice to have a tire option, I felt like.
Yeah, and Thermal's an anomaly because it's the same road course alternate, I believe. Yeah. But Thermal's aggressive. Like that just, I think, part of being in the desert, just a super aggressive, degrading asphalt. So going into qualifying, people were thinking that the reds were going to be the tire. They could get 2 laps out of 2 fast laps, but it may take a setup lap.
Yeah.
Right. So come out of the pit lane, build the tire. First time by, your first time lap wasn't going to be the best lap because you didn't want to overload them originally and then hurt them for the rest of the life. But they were able to get 2 laps pretty close to each other. They didn't fall off a cliff. They weren't 1 lap wonders. They were a really great tire. And it meant that some people were really impressive.
Yeah.
Rinus Veekay making the Firestone Fast 6 in Dale Coyne car was awesome. And Nolan Siegel making his first Firestone Fast 6.
Yeah.
And the fact that the McLaren cars finished or qualified 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah.
And Nolan led the way.
Yeah.
Was a really good indication of his continuing comfort. Now, he didn't race the IndyCar at Barber last year. He raced in Indy next. And so he knows the track, obviously, with his experience there, but did a really good job. And Rinus showing up. The thing about Barber is, as a track, if you're a little outside the window, you're a long ways outside the window.
Okay.
It is such a combination of elevation, high-speed corners, slow-speed corners, and connected corners.
And physicality.
Yeah. Almost every corner at Barber, except for maybe the hairpin in turn 5, is connected to another corner. Come through turn 1, you're setting up for turn 2. Mm-hmm. Turn 2 leads into this long downhill, swooping uphill.
Definitely experienced this in Mario Kart, where I mess up one corner and then the rest of the corners are messed up.
Same. And so it's really impressive when, Dale Coyne Racing, one of the smaller teams, definitely the smallest budget on the grid, two-car operation is able to get the most out of it because they were in the window and they stayed in the window.
And would you say that Barber is a track that relies a little more on driver ability because of the connected corners?
I think it comes down to more driver ability relating what you need as a driver to be successful to the team.
Okay.
So there's more maybe engineering dialogue that happens, or it has to happen to be successful.
And would you say there's more opportunity for driver error then?
Yes.
In a situation like qualifying where you can't if you mess up your fast lap,
that's it.
Yeah. One corner messes up 4 corners. You're not going to lose a tenth. You're going to lose half a second.
Right. Exactly. Okay. And you saw, as competitive as the field is right now, you saw some errors from some atypical people.
Yeah.
I mean, like Scott Dixon had major issues.
Yeah. Didn't
make it out of the first group.
Yeah.
Caused a yellow that impacted another driver. Lost his best lap. Starts 26th. And when has Scott Dixon started shotgun on the field? He's not.
Yeah.
But he had a really good fight back. We'll talk about Sunday. I think it was a really impressive fight back from Scott Dixon. Yeah. Also, in qualifying, highlight the Penskes were pretty good.
Yeah.
Scott McLaughlin on the front row. Will Power, who hadn't made it into the top 12 at all this year in the first 3 qualifying, made it in the Fast 6.
Yeah. And Rossi was doing, I think he started 15th or something like that.
He did start 15th, right on the money.
But you think about the Chip Ganassis, the Andretti's, the McLarens, the Penskes. There's the top 15 for you, right?
Yeah.
So to have a 2-car operation like Ed Carpenter that's a little smaller, gave him, I think Alex messed up in qualifying and probably could have qualified. I think he had a faster car than 15th.
Yeah, and both Ed Carpenter racing cars qualified together, 15th and 17th.
Yeah.
I think the other people to call out were the Meyer Shank. They didn't feel like they had a great car. In fact, I think Felix Rosenquist said this was the quote that they used on the broadcast was his crashiest circuit.
Yes.
And a massive crash in the test there.
Okay.
Ended up parked on top of the barrier. It was huge.
Yeah.
And in the wet, Marcus Ericsson had what could have been the biggest accident of his career.
Yeah.
In the last couple of corners, there's a flat out left into an uphill right-hander. You drop a couple of gears, very light brush of the brake, back to power, lost it in the left, comes sliding through the gravel trap, bounces up on 2 wheels, and almost goes over. And as he comes down, it blows the right rear apart, slides up to the wall and stops. You got very lucky that it was not worse than that.
Yeah.
But we talked about impressive fightbacks.
Yep.
So a couple of things about the race. We are now more than 300 laps of green flag consecutive racing this season. Not since lap 1 of the St. Pete Grand Prix have we had a yellow.
They said on the broadcast this hasn't happened since 1986.
Russ Thompson, motorsports statistician extraordinaire, said it hasn't happened since 1986. Yeah. It's 3 consecutive races like this. Unbelievable.
And I believe it's putting pressure in other places that we haven't seen pressure built before. So pit stops are getting more and more and more important. When there isn't a yellow to even out the field, one small drop of nut, just is really impacting results.
And we've seen continuing mistakes and problems in pit lane.
Yeah.
Colton Herta had another bad pit stop and stalled. Santino Ferrucci didn't get a full fill of fuel. Rinus Veekay, the money stop, the last stop of the day, the right front dropped his wheel nut. Great recovery, and Rinus was able to fight off Will Power on hot tires.
That was
tires.
So
really
fun
great
to
job.
Watch.
and Kiffin Simpson, although there were extenuating circumstances with Kiffin. Ganassi crew member over the wall. Crew member got hurt on Saturday. A non sort of pit lane incident, got hurt. They had to find a sub. So our thoughts are A, with the crew member to get better. B, there were some extenuating circumstances. But when
I think one of the Meyer Shank cars, Armstrong maybe had an issue getting the fueling.
Oh, out. That's right. The fuel probe got stuck, and so then they didn't get a full fuel load in. All of these things, and part of that is, like you say, the stress and the pressure of performance under a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, and if you lose 2 to 3 seconds in pit lane, you have to make that up on track, which is so hard to do at this competitive level, and we've talked a couple times about how the way you win is taking the least amount of time from green to checkered, and losing that time in pit lane when there's 3 stops and you're a second a stop slower.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like that much at the time, but it really adds up. And then you have a longer pit stop that's 2 or 3 seconds, and now you're 5 to 6 seconds behind. And that's a lot of positions.
And it matters. It matters without yellows, because that time delta deficit gets wiped away under a full course yellow and a safety car.
Because everyone packs up.
Because you back up behind the pace car, and you may have lost track position, but you have the opportunity to get it back.
Exactly.
So, and interestingly enough, I had always considered as a driver a yellow flag pit stop to be more stressful for the crew, because everyone comes in together. Mm-hmm. Rules in IndyCar, for those that may not know: full course yellow, the pit's closed. You're not allowed to come in except for emergency service. Once the pit's open, everyone can then come in and get a full service.
And those are the ones where you see like everyone coming in at a time, and there's opportunities for people to run into each other, and opportunities for crew guys to get hit, stuff like that.
And if you are 2 to 3 seconds slower on that pit stop, it's 3 or 4 cars going by.
Yeah.
Because you can't launch when there's a car next to you.
Yeah.
So you're looking for a gap, all of these things. Again, because that time delta, that time dilation has been shrunk down to nose to tail.
But can you make up those seconds in like outlap at that point in a yellow flag pit stop?
If you haven't lost positions.
Yeah.
Right? So it's positions versus competitive time.
Yeah.
When it's so competitive and a full green flag stop, especially as we get to Indy, if you lose the pack you're running with and you lose that toe, then you never get that back until the next yellow.
Yeah.
So we're continuing to see mistakes, and I think it is the pressure of green flag stops, knowing that everyone's right on the limit, and it is interesting. So we both listen to Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. I think if you enjoy our podcast, you should check them out. And Alex was talking after Long Beach that he doesn't love this era of IndyCar, right? This chassis was designed and developed during the year of 2011, came into the series in 2012. So it's been around for 13 years. Since then, we've added additional side protection after James Hinchcliffe's accident at Indy. We've added more anti-intrusion panels. We've added the aero screen along with the halo piece inside of it. We've added the hybrid system. We've added almost 175 pounds to the car.
Yeah.
And so we're a long ways away from the original performance envelope.
Yeah.
I agree with Alex that it's changed the equation of performance in the car. And so all of the components, dampers, suspension, chassis, tires, aerodynamics, haven't necessarily kept up with that movement within the performance envelope.
Yeah. So from what I understood from what Alex said, the car's heavier. You're just less on the line. You're less on the limit. You can't race it as hard as you used to. So there's less mistakes being made. Therefore, no yellows.
And there's less, because they're still an open wheel car, they're not running into each other because they got it a little wrong. Because you can tell a long ways back that you've outbraked yourself because the brake zones are bigger, because there's more weight to slow down.
Yeah.
And you have the opportunity to manage that.
Yeah.
And everyone, because they're really smart drivers, really smart engineers, have gotten
the competition's out of control, Good.
Yeah, it's really tight. And they've gotten on top of utilizing the hybrid system. Yeah. So there's not a performance delta if you figured it out. Everyone's figured it out.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the same programming window. So how do we fix this going forward? They're talking about a new car. And I think with that new car, there will be better integration for the safety cell updates we've made.
Yep.
You learn, you get better, you make the car safer. That's important. The aero screen is more seamlessly integrated.
Crash.
Yeah. I mean, he was bruised, but walked away from a 95 plus G hit.
Absolutely incredible.
Like, I remember a story just quickly.
Can I just say, I'm a little glad that you're not doing it anymore. I just like a little bit, because the practice was happening. We were getting our kids ready for school, and Takuma crashed, and I would have been here with our kids worried about you.
Well, I'm glad you're not worried about me anymore.
I'm still worried about you, but just not that
way. So I think as the new car comes in, the integration of the aero screen, a little smoother integration of the hybrid, instead of adding it to an existing car, it'll be designed from day one. The components, the tires, all of that performance envelope will continue to come back. New engine homologations, maybe get a little more horsepower. I think all of a sudden you're back in a racier window.
Yeah. That being said, there was still a lot of action on track.
Absolutely. As such, who were your top 3 drivers of the day? And hopefully they're different than mine, but we will see.
VK.
Okay. He was on my list. Great drive.
Like, incredible.
Top 4, twice out of the pits on cold tires, held off a Penske on hot tires.
Not just a Penske, but Will Power, who is so good. I mean, the top qualifier, I mean, I don't know how many wins he has. A lot. I think he's got
championships, 500 wins.
I mean, he's so good.
Great job by Rinus Veekay.
Great. Lundgaard continues to really impress. I didn't, we've heard a lot about how that team is built around Award, but I'm not hearing Award's name. I'm hearing Lundgaard's name.
3 podiums.
Yeah.
3 podiums in a row.
Yeah.
I think Christian is showing why everyone rated him so highly in Europe. Yeah. Why Ray Hall rated him so highly. And it's interesting. You talk about, people have said, oh, it's an award-based car and it's a award-based car. I don't know that it is. I think that the operation, when you're in a space as a driver and the momentum is going your way, it's easy to build momentum upwards.
Yeah.
When it's not going well, it's just as easy to build momentum downwards.
Yeah.
So it's great to see the McLaren cars doing well. 6th, 7th, 8th in qualifying. They finished, I want to say,
Nolan was 9th.
2nd, 5th, and 9th. Is that right? 2nd, 6th, and 9th.
Yeah.
So all 3 cars in the top 10, that's a pretty good day. That's a pretty good day.
Yeah. And then I'm going to split my other one between Dixie and Rossi, because they both made up a lot of positions, worked really hard. Watching Rossi fight off Nolan, was it Nolan?
Right at the end of the race.
At the end of the race with the harder black tires. I could tell it was a struggle, and he kept his cool, kept his composure, didn't mess up, and kept Nolan behind him.
And Nolan was out of push to pass.
Yeah.
Rossi used that to his advantage. I don't know that he baited him into using it in an opportune.
Oh, he only had like 6 seconds left. There wasn't like a ton left.
But he absorbed the pressure when he needed to,
Yeah.
and then held on till the end.
Yeah.
Scott did a great job. Drove from 26th all the way through to 12th, which with no yellows, no chaos, no disruption.
With
great
no
drive.
attrition.
Yep. So those are my top 3 drivers of the day. I think it is worth mentioning.
Those were my top 3 drivers.
Those were your top 3 drivers of the day. My top 3 as well.
Oh.
Except I think we have to go to a different planet to talk about the best driver overall, because he is on another planet at the moment. Alex Palou has won 3 out of 4 races.
Yeah. The
broadcast talks about putting a championship together,
and he has
with
the best baby. Hannah had those same sunglasses, and oh my gosh, it was the cutest baby.
How much fun! Alex Palou has won 3 out of 4 races. Yeah. The broadcast, Townsend Bell's favorite stat, talking about championship, is best worst finish.
Is second.
Mm-hmm. He, like, his average finish right now is a 1.25 out of 4 races.
Yeah. So how does anyone catch him? Does Alex need some bad luck? Does he need, like, how does this, like, or is everyone else just fighting for second in the championship?
It's early. He has yet to win an oval race.
I know.
I pulled that out early.
I know.
We're going to Indy GP where he's won 2 years on the trot.
2 times in a row.
So he's coming in with good momentum. The Ganassi cars are always good. Mm-hmm. I remember they were good when I drove for Chip. They were always good at the Indy GP.
2 years in a row. I remember that.
Yep. Or 4th 2 years in a row. Yeah. I was on the front row there. It's a pretty consistent. It's very similar to Mid-Ohio as far as setup. Although the last couple of years they've struggled, except for Palou. It's like, wow, everyone else struggles except for Palou. Yeah. So, I mean, it might be hello, goodbye championship for everyone else. Hello, Palou, goodbye everyone else.
Oh, that was cute, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm another driver in the series hoping for a championship, I am, really worried about Palou. And it's not like the only one even close is Lundgaard, right? Because he's had 3 championships. I don't know what the championship points look like. I didn't look at them. But, I mean, in terms of ability to salvage a race, ability to put a good result together after a bad qualifying, I'm looking at Lundgaard.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think Scotty Mack and Scott McLaughlin has not given up at all. He's talked about, he's like, it's still early. We got a lot of momentum. All it's going to take is a little bad luck and we'll be right there. Yeah. So,
wishing on bad luck.
Hope is not an effective strategy.
Yeah.
Hope is not an effective strategy.
Yeah.
And I think Scott McLaughlin is coming in very confident.
Oh, Scott McLaughlin is.
And an Indy 500. I think Will Power's ready for a fight back. Joseph has won the last 2 Indy 500s. There are a lot of points available.
And we already talked about Scott.
Yep.
I think Palou wants that so bad after finishing second the last 2 years. Like,
I think we're building towards a very stellar month of May with the Indy GP coming up this weekend. Races on Saturday.
I think we're going to watch my work productivity decline.
Watching all of that practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, can you get the TV up in my office by then?
So Mother's Day is Sunday. We may not record the recap for the Indy GP until Monday of next week because Mother's Day is Sunday and I will be putting up a TV in her office so that she can watch Indy 500 practice.
Yeah.
Make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us if possible. Let us know comments. Feel free. We didn't get any questions on social media after this one, but as you're watching IndyCar races, let us know. I'm on Instagram at Charlie Kimball. I'm on X at Charlie Kimball, Facebook at Charlie Kimball. Send me a note, send me a message, drop me something through my website if you have questions on strategy or anything you'd like us to talk about as far as recapping IndyCar race weekends. It's the month of May, ladies and gentlemen.
And maybe for Mother's Day, we'll watch the race because hopefully we'll be so busy Saturday in the store for Mother's Day that I won't have time to watch the race.
That's true. If you need any last-minute Mother's Day gifts, you can shop online at georgethompson.com. This episode of Beyond the Checkered with Charlie and Kathleen brought to you.
Ready-to-ship gifts. There's a whole ready-to-ship Mother's Day selection.
A whole ready-to-ship Mother's Day selection at georgethompson.com. This episode brought to you by the George Thompson Diamond Company, America's most trusted name in diamonds.
Oh, honey. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.